Okay, hi everyone, welcome to Talking All. Today we're going to have a discussion with my peers and colleagues here about fellowships. This conversation today was inspired by the last Connect, Inspire and Share event in March, where we talked about fellowships as a means of learning advisors, recognising their teaching and learning expertise. The feedback from you was that you wanted to hear more from your colleagues and hear about their experience. So we're going to discuss this today. And I have a group of people with an interest in academic language and learning who are going to talk about their experiences. So I'm going to ask you guys to introduce yourselves, maybe tell us a little bit about your background in academic language and learning and which fellowship you chose to do. In the session that we did before, we talked about HERDSA fellowships and advanced HE fellowships. For those who are listening to the conversation, if you're interested, that session is on the AALL website. So, Adam, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Adam Gall. I'm a Learning Success Advisor in the Learning Hub at the University of Sydney. I applied for the Advanced HE Fellowship at the Fellow level, so the FHEA. So that's what I've done.
Okay, awesome. Jess?
Yeah. Hi, my name's Jessica Florent, and I work at the Brisbane campus of ACU as a learning designer. And like Adam, I also applied for an advanced HE fellowship at the fellow level.
Okay, and Jess, you were an academic language and learning teacher and supporter at UQ before this.
I was. So yeah, that's where I was when I applied.
Yeah, awesome. So we have two advanced HE fellows. And Thuy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Thuy, and I'm the Research Curriculum and Learning Coordinator at Western Sydney University. But I was a learning advisor for years from Monash time and Charles Darwin University too. I think I will learn a lot from Jess and excuse my voice, and Adam today because I'm applying for the Advanced HE this year. But what I did was the HERDSA fellowship, and I just submitted my portfolio a few weeks ago.
Oh, good for you.
Thank you.
Well done. Okay, Mei.
Hi, thanks, Sue, and hi, everybody. I'm a senior lecturer in the pathways at James Cook University now, but before that, Thuy, I was teaching academic English for a few years at Monash, and then in between, I was supporting academics in internationalization of the curriculum, so it's all related. I am a HERDSA fellow, and like Thuy, I am just writing my application for a senior fellow with HEA right now.
Oh. Okay, so we've got quite a range of backgrounds and experiences with the fellowship schemes. So now I'm really interested in why you chose to do the fellowship that you did. So Thuy, would you like to tell me why you chose to do a HERDSA fellowship initially when you were a learning advisor?
Yeah, sure. So I was a HERDSA member before I decided to apply for the fellowship. I attended a lot of PD events by HERDSA, and also when I taught research writing, I used a lot of their articles. So I feel that there is a connection between myself and the HERDSA community. So I try to find an opportunity to have a deeper connection. And I saw the fellowship, and I read through the requirements, and I see there is an opportunity for me to grow my professional profile, because we have to build a portfolio that document our contributions and approaches. And I really like the mentorship, because that's a chance for me to work with an experienced mentor, and that can help me to reflect on my practice and also engage with the theories And another reason is I think it's very helpful to enhance my credibility as a teaching scholar. And that helps with my own identity as well, because, you know, sometimes as a learning skill advisor, people may not know, okay, what are you doing? Are you a teaching scholar, a research scholar? But with the fellowship, then it's a formal, you know, way to position ourselves as a teaching scholar. And that helps confidence, enhance our confidence a lot. And also I can see that I can easily connect with people in my institutions who are in the both in advanced HE and also HERDSA fellowship, because of the shared language and our commitment with teaching excellence. So these are the motivations.
Wow, that's amazing, Thuy. So much of what you say really resonates with me. And I did advanced HE, not HERDSA, though now I'm thinking maybe I should do another one. Maybe I should do HERDSA as well. So much of that resonates with me, and I can see from the faces of everyone listening that you're all kind of nodding and smiling also. Wow. So it's the opportunity to do a portfolio and to work with a mentor and as part of your application. Okay, Mei, you did the HERDSA fellowship, and I understand you're involved with HERDSA now. Can you talk us a little bit through your reasons for being involved with HERDSA? Are they similar to Thuy's or different?
Similar. The beginning might have been slightly different. So that was my first HERDSA conference in 2019 in Auckland. And that was the first time I had grants to go for conferences when I moved to a more an academic role. Yeah. And then I joined a half-day free workshop before the first day of the conference. It was called talking about teaching and learning. And that workshop was more like an initiate workshop to understand the identity of a teacher and teaching philosophy and all the key concepts of teaching. And then the program of the TATL workshop was for the members of each year to meet up after the workshop day to talk about their practice, to reflect on what they want to do. And another thing that people were interested in was to apply for the HERDSA fellowship. So for me, then I was thinking, why not? It may be a good practice. So that's how I started. It was all quite innocent. And then when it took 18 months, and then I realized, okay.
Then what happened?
Yes, this is what happened. Yeah.
Right. So you got involved with the HERDSA fellowship by attending the conference, and that raised your awareness of that as a scheme. Okay, right, but that's interesting. So Adam, you did the Advanced HE fellowship. Can you tell me, why did you decide to do that fellowship?
So a few years ago, I was working in the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, and I fell in with a good crowd who were working closely with people in what's called educational innovation here, which is sort of professional development for the academic staff. The team of educational designers and other education professionals, as well as academics in there. So in that faculty space, I was kind of going to those events or training workshops in that space, and they ran a graduate certificate, and at the end of that process, the fellowship application was kind of there.
So it's kind of embedded into the grad certificate at University of Sydney.
Yeah, so as a kind of final thing that you, of course, didn't have to do to get the grad cert, but that was kind of set up in the final bit of coursework there. But I actually didn't do the grad cert for administrative and other reasons. The timing just didn't work with the different roles that I had. So I ended up doing our professional development sessions. They have a kind of more programmatic structure mapped out for doing those, also with the fellowship at the end. So I was kind of chipping away at that, and then moved into a learning success advisor role, and thought about the grad cert again. At that point, it was still unclear whether it could fit in around what else I was doing. But I don't have a teaching qualification of any kind. I've just got a lot of experience teaching, and have built my skills. So I still wanted something that would kind of kind of sum up some of the skills that I'd built and say something about what I was able to do. And so through that professional development pathway, I then went and did the fellowship at the end of that.
That's really, really interesting, because what I'm hearing is like Thuy was looking to establish her professional identity and her credibility as a teaching scholar, or as a teacher, and you were kind of similar, Adam, but you both came through quite different pathways to achieve that.
Yes, yeah. It was about professional identity and also just getting some independent verification, really, that the sorts of things that I was doing were good things to do with students.
That sounds good. How does that compare with you, Jess?
Yeah, so many connections there. I'm actually just about to start my very last unit in my grad cert. It's funny how many things we all share. I was similarly, and I have to thank Sue actually for showing me the way towards advanced HE, because Sue, it was back in 2020, and Sue, you'd already done yours. I'm not sure how long before that, but you talked so positively about this opportunity to kind of map out your knowledge and your skills and your values and show how it connects to the broader university, because we were doing a lot of work not only with English language students in the English language centre, but also into schools and faculties to support students. And so for me, it was a great way to kind of establish teaching skills, but in higher education. And it gave me a definite confidence in being able to talk about that with professional and academic staff, and still does today.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm hearing it. For you, it was like, because I know you had a teaching background, but you were able to benchmark your teaching skills against an established criteria within the HE space. It sounds similar.
Definitely.
I'm seeing people nodding. It's like, okay, so you chose to do the HERDSA or advanced HE, or both in some cases, like Thuy, for different reasons. And I'm hearing that the benefits or your reasons are fairly similar to a certain extent. So you've all submitted now, you've all gone through the process. I'm kind of curious, what did you gain from the process? Or by gain, it could be something like, what did you learn? Jess has already mentioned that she's gained confidence. All right. Other people have mentioned they've gained a more concrete professional identity as HE educators. But was there anything else that you gained from going through the process that you haven't shared yet? So I don't know. So let's say, Mei, what have you gained from becoming a HERDSA fellow?
Yes, I think I've gained much more than I had expected. My initial response to this whole project was from someone much older. When I was a student, she said, "Oh, just say yes to things." So I just said yes when people in the monthly meetings ask who would like to write your first criterion for the HERDSA fellowship for next month's reading for everybody, and I said I will do it. And I started to write, and then 18 months later, I finished the draft, and I was the first person in the group to have written the fellowship application. And then after that, I thought, wow, this is really refreshing, because I also have a few different teaching qualifications, but never had I ever had such a systematic reflection on who I am and what I do and who I am in relation to my learners, and what do I believe in as a teacher, and all that. It has become so much clearer to me. And then and I know when I design and plan my classes, and when I talk to my students, I know why I'm doing that, because the belief is so clear behind all my actions. And so it's very empowering, and definitely boosted my confidence as well, like Jess. And another thing is I made a lot of friends over the years, people with similar experiences and similar beliefs, similar positions as well, and professional friends mostly. And we've been working on different projects and also social networks too. So now when I go to conferences, I would get to meet with people I know. So, it's much more rewarding than I had expected.
Thanks, Mei. That's really interesting. How about the rest of you, Jess or Adam or Thuy? Was your experience similar, or have you got something else that you've gained that hasn't come up yet?
I think I would agree that it's, for me, the Advanced HE Fellowship has been about conversations and about maybe a sense of community coming out of those conversations. So that's definitely been a benefit, like having that, generating that that application meant having a set of conversations, maybe people that I'd talked to before, but maybe not quite about that. And then, being in spaces like this one as well, also means, getting to know people elsewhere in the sector. I think that's part of what's going on there as well.
Yeah, it's right. We can be quite isolated, can't we? We work in our little silos in our institutions, and unless we're lucky enough to get funding to attend conferences, it's not always easy to meet people from sort of outside your institution. So it leads to conversations and opportunities. I didn't warn you guys about this, but it's just occurred to me. I'm kind of curious. Did you face any challenges in doing your application? What sort of challenge did you, I mean, for example, when I did the HE fellowship, I can't remember now, 2017 or 2018, I found it a little difficult to address some of the criteria, because at that point they had been written with lecturers in mind. They've been updated since then to encompass third space professionals and our roles more broadly. But that was a challenge I faced. Did anyone face a challenge in doing the application?
I face the same challenge. So when I look through the criteria, I feel like, I need to have a class, and I need to have my own groups of students, and I have to be the one that design the assessments and curriculum. Why I'm not? Because as a learning skill advisor, we are not directly involved in designing assessments. And also I faced the challenges in collecting the evidences, because, for example, I ran a workshop and then the teacher said, it's great, but is it like a valid evidence for a fellowship? So
of course, so for people listening who aren't familiar with HERDSA, you have to submit evidence of your achievements as well, whereas Advanced HE is more reflective. Okay, so sorry, Thuy, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, that's right. And sometimes when we ran a class and the students look happy, and we say, yeah, they look happy, but they need a concrete evidence, quantitatively and qualitatively. So I found it very hard to track my previous classes during the time I was at Monash and also at Charles Darwin. So I have to think about alternative way to provide evidence. And also that helps me to gain a skill that from now I need to collect evidences, like even an email from the lecturer, the evaluation feedback, or even the difference in the student work before and after my workshop. So,
that's good. That's a good insight, Thuy. And I think it's probably good practice for all of us. I think we're not always very good at collecting evidence of our achievements and our impacts on students' learning. So it's probably a good habit that we should all be developing, really. Jess, were you going to say something before?
Oh, no, only that I had the opportunity at ACU to mentor someone else who was doing their fellowship application. And in supporting him to write that application, I noticed how tricky it can be to separate out your own impact from your team's impact. And so it's a great way, though, to remind yourself, you know, of the part you play in the teams that you work in and the work that you produce. Yeah, because it helps you kind of check in with yourself every day. What am I doing in this project? How will my work impact teaching and learning in my space? And it's a nice way to frame your day to stay on track.
Okay. Yeah, it's Mei.
I'd like to take along Thuy and Jess's comments about applying for both fellowships. I find now I'm writing for the HEA as well. I find it's really hard to understand what the examiners are looking for unless you have someone, an experienced mentor. For example, for the HERDSA fellowship, we didn't realize for every part of every criterion, we need to provide evidence to support our learning, reflection, and experience, etc. And for HEA, I'm writing it now on my own, but I will reach out to people when I finish the first draft. What do the examiners look for? So the instructions are there, very clear, straightforward, but we would like to know what are the focus or emphasis.
Yeah.
We want to spend a lot of weight on. Yeah.
I think that's, Mei, you're making a really good point. And while HERDSA has, within their scheme, you are assigned a mentor or you find a mentor, with Advanced HE, it depends very much on your institution. Now, I've been involved in the Advanced HE schemes at 2 different universities now, and they have been very, very good at supporting their learners. At UQ and at Charles learners supporting their applicants. So at UQ and at Charles Darwin, where there was a series of workshops and structured meetings that take people step by step through their applications and also pair them up with mentors and peers. So if you're thinking of doing an Advanced HE fellowship, you perhaps want to think about your institution and how much support your institution will offer, because that's variable. Okay, it doesn't happen everywhere. Whereas with HERDSA, it's actually embedded in the system. Yep. So I'm sort of leading on from that. We're getting short on time now. What advice would you offer a learning advisor? Now, remember, AALL is mostly learning advisors. A learning advisor thinking of doing a fellowship, one handy piece of advice that they can take away with them before they get started. Would anyone like to volunteer? Adam,
I'll pick up where you left off there, Sue. With if your institution does provide any kind of support around it, definitely avail yourself of those opportunities if you can. I accessed some of the support, which was really useful, and then I had the opportunity to have a one-on-one with someone in the team, and I didn't use that because I was a bit busy and thought, oh no, this will be all right. And then I got to revise and resubmit because of that, because it was just one item that they probably would have flagged and said, oh yeah, you need to have something else here. So it wasn't a big deal, and I actually think that process was still valuable, but I would say if there is any local support, use it, all of it. And if there isn't, look for someone who can give you some advice.
Great, Adam. Anyone else offer? Oh, Jess, yes.
Do it with a colleague or friend or professional friend, as Mei was saying earlier, because I'm going through that process of discovery. What is this? How do I do this? Has anyone got any samples? What's it going to mean for me? Was made a lot easier being able to bounce those ideas off someone who knew my teaching practice actually really well. And so we could actually help each other find examples, which was, it saved a lot of time, I think.
Okay. Thuy, what advice would you like to give a learning advisor thinking about doing a fellowship?
Yeah, I agree with Jess, Adam, and Mei as well about learning from friends and colleagues, not until when we get a fellowship, but when we start the fellowship. So we learn from them, from their experience, and that helps a lot. And also another advice related to the point that you make too about making evidence our habit. And I think that's very helpful. And throughout the fellowship, I start to have the evidence folders for different projects that I'm in according to the years. And then sometimes I have to have the evidence, so I have to chase them, ask them. And so I collect different sources of data. And that helps me to deeply reflect on my own practice. And that is a material for me to start a conversation, whether initiate a new project with someone else. So this is the evidence. What do you think we should do next? So that's for further project as well. And another thing is, usually we read a lot of articles and book chapters and everything, but in order to connect the theory with practice, it's hard. But during the HERDSA fellowship, we have to demonstrate our engagement with the theory. We have to engage with our teaching philosophies and have a few citations. So I think engaging and deeply engaging with the theories is a good way for the fellowship. Yeah.
That's a good point, Thuy, because I think we ought to be doing that as professionals, as third space professionals. But our days get really busy, don't they? And these things can get away from us. So I think doing a fellowship is a good way to sort of get yourself back on that pathway of measuring your impact and also engaging with theory and thinking about the things that underpin your decision making when you're sort of putting your courses in place or your workshops or whatever you're involved in. Did you have anything, Mei, or did you? I've lost track. Did you have a bit of advice?
Yes, I think we all talking about one thing, that to do it with someone else or a group of people. I'm quoting Robert Connelly here. Reflection is better together. And for HERDSA, if you would like to apply for a HERDSA fellowship, then join the TETL workshop. I'm advertising.
Could you run those? So a little personal plug, right? TETL workshops. Can you explain what TETL stands for?
Talking about teaching and learning. Usually it's on the Monday before the HERDSA conference. Okay, right. So everyone listening, if you're interested, look that up. Okay. Look, we're coming to an end now. I've really enjoyed this conversation. So what I've heard from all of you is that you've all gained professionally and personally by doing the either the HERDSA or the Advanced HE Fellowship, and that you've all gained in confidence. You have a stronger identity as educators within the university system, even if you don't have an academic role, a professional role perhaps, and that it's built your community, a teaching and learning community around you. So that's what I'm hearing from you. I'm also hearing that many of you feel that it's better to work together. You need to tap in to all the support that's available to you, which is part of community building as well. So look, I want to thank all of you for agreeing to be interviewed, or not interviewed, agreeing to participate in this discussion today in Talking All. I'm sure our members will really benefit from listening to you. And thank you very much. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.